Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, oh Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, Daf Yomi, Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 11a. We're continuing with the stories of Antoninus and Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and starting a new story at the bottom of 10b. Antoninus Shamshel Rabbi Adarkan Shamshel Rav Ki Shechil Antoninus Omer Rabbi Nisparda Chavila. The Gemara relates, Antoninus would attend to Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and similarly the Persian king Adrakan would attend to Rav. When Antoninus died, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said, the bundle is separated. When Adrakan died, Rav likewise said, and now we turn to the top of 11a. Uncus bar colonimus it gayar shadarkes argunda de romai abatre mashkin bikarae igayur hadar shagargunda de romai akhrina abatre amar lahu la tamru le lo mide. The Gemara mentions other Romans who converted to Judaism. It relates. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a word. When Adrakan, the Persian king, died, Rav said, and now he said the bundle is separated. He said the same thing that Rabbi said. Top of 11a are the words Ditparada Chavila, which Rav said. Okay, and now the Gemara mentions other Romans who converted to Judaism. Okay? Unculus Barcelonimus Itgayar Shadar Kesar Gunda Dromai Abatre Mashkin Bekare Itgayur Hadar Shadar Gunda Dromai Akhrina Batre Amar Lehu Lom Temru Le Velomidi. The Gemara mentioned, Unculus Barcelonimus Maximus, no, I'm just kidding. Unculus Barcelonimus converted to Judaism. The Roman emperor sent a troop of Roman soldiers after him to seize Unculus and bring him to the emperor. Unculus drew them toward him with verses that he cited and learned with them, and they converted. The emperor then sent another troop of Roman soldiers after him and said to them, "Do not say anything, so that he cannot convince you with his arguments." The troops followed this instruction and took Unculus with them. Ki Yehoshua Klivias Amalahu Malachumil Tabealama Nifoira Nakat Nura Kame Apifiora le Dukasa le Hegmona lekoma, koma minakat nura mikame inashe, amri le la, amru lahu, amar lahu, hakadosh baruch hu nakat nura kame Yisrael, tichtiv Hashem holech lifnechem yomam, v'gomer yitgayur kulahu. When they were walking, Unculus said to the troops of soldiers, "I will say a mere statement to you. A minor official holds a torch before a high official. The high official holds a torch for a duke for the governor, and the governor for the ruler. Does the ruler hold a torch before the common people?" The soldiers said to Unculus, "No." Unculus said to them, "Yet the Holy One, blessed be He, holds a torch before the Jewish people, as it is written, and the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them by the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. Exodus 13:21. And they all converted. It's a little bit hard to imagine the story happening because soldiers don't usually talk to people they arrest, especially don't engage them in debates. Even if they engage them in debates, why would the Torah be so compulsive to these soldiers? That's what makes it hard to believe, but it might have happened. If he was super charismatic, he could have just won them over by his presence. But anyway, that's just my question on that. Because a soldier is afraid. If a soldier doesn't, especially back then, if a soldier could be killed for not doing his job, so the soldiers would be so fearful to not to even engage in anything. They're risking their life. So if you're telling me this is a miraculous story, then okay, it could have been a miracle, but I think it would have been nothing less than a miracle if it actually happened. Okay, those are my comments on that. The emperor then sent another troop of soldiers after him to bring Onkelos, and he said to them, "Do not converse with him at all." The troops followed this instruction and took Onkelos with them. When they grabbed him and were walking, Onkelos saw a mezuzah that was placed on the doorway. He placed his hand upon it and said to the soldiers, "What is this?" They said to him, "You tell us." That they were not supposed to talk to him. Amar lo minhago shel olam melech b'asav adam yoshev b'pinim ועבדיו משמרים אותו מבחוץ. ואילו הקדוש ברוך הוא עבדיו מבפנים, והוא משמרן מבחוץ. שנאמר, השם ישמר בצאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם. יתגאיורתו לא שדר בתרי. Onkelos said to them that the standard practice throughout the world is that a king of flesh and blood sits inside his palace, and his servants stand guard, protecting him outside. But with regard to the Holy One, blessed be He, His servants, the Jewish people, sit inside their homes, and He guards over them outside. As it is stated, the Lord shall guard your going out and your coming in from now and forever. Psalms 121, verse 8. Upon hearing this, those soldiers also converted to Judaism. After that, the emperor sent no more soldiers after him. I mean, is that really how an emperor soldier, a Roman emperor? He said, if you talk to him, I'll kill you, to the soldiers. I mean, I don't, again, unless this is a miraculous story and it just happened in some kind of unusual way for it's possible. Anyway, ויאמר השם לה, שני גויים בבטנך. אמר יהודה ברב, אל תקרא גויים אלא גאים. זה אנטונינוס ורבי, שלא פסקו מעל שולחנם. Oh, this is amazing. I have to stop here because this is so important. That today is Gimel Tammuz, which is, of course, the third day of Tammuz. And it's an important day because it is the yard site, the anniversary of the passing of the Lubavitcher Rebbe of blessed memory. And this is so amazing because the Gemara that we're learning in Daf Yomi is talking about Rebbe and Antoninus, which is like the harmonization, the meeting of Yaakov and Esav. And the reason that I remember this is the Gemara said the pasuk of when Rivka went to inquire when she was pregnant with Jacob and Esau. And so she heard the message that these two nations are in your womb. And so the Lubavitcher Rebbe had a saying, and I think it was cryptic to many people, but it had been said that bring me lights of chaos in the vessels of rectification. It's called Orot de Tohu, Bekelim de Tikkun. And this is going to the way I understand it, the way it was told to me, is that this is the meeting of Yaakov and Esav, because Esav, also in Chabad Torah from the Alter Rebbe, is considered Tohu, the world of Tohu, as opposed to Tikkun. Tohu are lights of chaos. It's this unharnessed force of nature that, if it is harnessed properly with Tikkun, it could be something amazing. And Yaakov, on the other hand, he might not be as a genius as Esav, let's say, but Yaakov plods on, and he's not as inventive or has that crazy creativity that perhaps is what caused Esav to be a wicked person in this lower world, because the vessels shattered, so to speak. But the messianic redemption, messianic hope, is that Jacob and Esau meet together, and there's one example of that with Jimmy Carter. In that, I think we would all consider Jimmy Carter or America in general. That's Esav, that's Edom, Esav, and Jimmy Carter in 1978, and Congress registered the birthday of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose yahrzeit is today, as National Education Day. So this is another meeting of Yaakov and Esav, where Esav, meaning America, the American Congress, American government, is recognizing Yaakov, meaning Lubavitcher Rebbe, as a great man, and establishing a day that's based on the Hebrew calendar. So it's like America usually makes holidays, let's say, like, it's based on the Gregorian calendar, like July 4th or whatever it is, Labor Day or Memorial Day, whenever that is. But the National Education Day is, according to the Americans, the American Congress, Yud Aleph Nisan. That's an incredible fusion. That's a mixture of Yaakov and Esav. So today is his yahrzeit, and today we're reading another meeting of Yaakov and Esav, where Rebbe is meeting Antoninus. So this is just very interesting. I thought I'd mention it. At any rate, let's continue. Amar Yehuda Marav Al Tikri Goyim. Okay, so the start of this Gemara, before I go off on that tangent. V'yomer Hashem Shnei Goyim v'vitnech. Amar Yehuda Marav Al Tikri Goyim v'legayim. Ze Antoninus leRebbe שלא יפסקו מעל שולחנם ולא יחזרס ולקישס ולצנון לא בימות החמה ולא בימות הגשמים תמר בר צנון מחתך אוכל חזרת מהפך מאכל קישוט מרחיב מעין. The Gemara returns to discussion of Antoninus. When the matriarch Rebecca was pregnant with Jacob and Esau, the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, Genesis 25:23. Rabbi Yehuda says that Rav says, do not read it as Goyim, meaning nations, rather read it Gayim, meaning proud ones. This verse was fulfilled in 2 prominent individuals who descended from Rebecca, Antoninus and Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, whose tables, due to their wealth, never lacked for lettuce, nor cucumbers, nor radish, neither in the summer nor in the rainy season, despite the fact that these foods do not grow year-round. The reason they ensured that these items were always present at their tables is that the master said a radish breaks up food, lettuce stirs up food, and cucumbers expand the intestines. Okay. והתנא דבי רבי ישמעאל, למה נקרא שמן קישואין? מפני שקשין לגופו של אדם כחרבוס, לא קשיא, ברב רבה הבזוטרי. The Gemara asks, but isn't it taught in the school of Rabbi Ishmael? Why are they called cucumbers? It is because they are as harmful, meaning kashim, hard, to a person's body as swords. The Gemara answers, this is not difficult. This statement, that they are harmful to the body, is referring to large cucumbers, whereas that statement explains why they were always present on the table. Yehuda and Antinas are referring to small ones. Okay. Yom Haleida v'Yom Hamita Nichlal d'Rabbi Meir Savar Lo Shna Mita Sheyesh Ba Sreifa V'Lo Shna Mita Sheyesh Ba Sreifa Palche Ba L'Avodah Zarah Al Ma Sreifa Lav Chukahi Niklal d'Rabbanan Tzavri Sreifa Chukahi. Palchi is seems like a religious worship here, and pretty much everywhere. You know, it's written in the Ksuba Palchi, but it's mostly for, I think, religious worship. So let's see what it says. The Mishnah teaches that according to Rabbi Meir, the birthday of the king and the death of the king are considered Gentile festivals, whereas the rabbis hold that only a death that includes public burning is considered a festival that includes idol worship. The Gemara comments, by inference, this means that Rabbi Meir holds that there is no difference whether it is a death that includes public burning, and there is no difference whether it is a death that does not include public burning. In either case, they engage in idol worship on that occasion. Evidently, Rabbi Meir holds that the burning performed at the death of the king is not an idolatrous custom, as it is not the cause of the prohibition. The Gemara continues, from here one can conclude by inference that the rabbis hold that the burning upon the death of the king is an idolatrous custom. The Gemara raises a difficulty. But isn't it taught in Braita that we burn items upon the death of kings as an expression of grief? And this is not the ways of the Amorites, but rather a Jewish custom. And if this is an idolatrous custom, how can we perform this public burning? But isn't it written, and you shall not walk in their statutes, Leviticus 18:3? Ela de kuli alma sreifa lav chukahi, ela chashivutahi. Behak miflagi, Rabbi Meir Savar lo shna mita sheyesh ba sreifa, velo shna mita she'ein ba sreifa. Palchi ba avodah zarah v'Rabbanan Tzavri mita sheyesh ba sreifa chashiva lehu upalchi ba. She'ein ba sreifa lo chashiva velo palchi ba. Rather, everyone agrees that the public burning itself is not an idolatrous custom. Rather, it is performed due to the great importance of the king who passed away. And here in the Mishnah, they disagree about this. Rabbi Meir holds that there is no difference whether it is a death that includes public burning, and there is no difference whether it is a death that does not include public burning. In either case, in practice, they engage in idol worship on that occasion, and the rabbis hold that a death that includes public burning is important to the Gentiles, and therefore they engage in idol worship on that occasion. But on a death that does not include public burning is not important to them, and they do not engage in idol worship on that occasion. Gufa sorfin al malachim v'ein bo mishum darchei moeli שנאמר בשלום תמות ובמשרפות אבותיך מלאכים וגומר וכשם ששורפין על מלאכים כך שורפין על הנשיאים. Having mentioned this Braita, the Gemara returns to discuss the matter itself. The Braita teaches one burns items due to the death of kings as an expression of grief, and this is not subject to the prohibition of imitating the ways of the Amorites, since it is a Jewish custom. As it is stated that Jeremiah prophesied to Zedekiah, king of Judah, you shall die in peace, and with the burning of your fathers, the former kings that were before you, so they shall make a burning for you. Jeremiah 34, verse 5. And just as one burns items upon the death of the kings, so too one burns items upon the death of the heads of the Sanhedrin. Uma hem sorfin al melachim mitatan v'klei tashmishan. Uma'aseh shemet Rabban Gamliel hazaken v'saraf alav unkeles hager shivim manet tzori v'ha'amret ma hen sorfin alehem mitatan v'klei tashmishan ema b'shivim manet tzori. And what items do they burn upon the death of kings? They burn the king's beds and their utensils so that no one else can make use of them. And there was an incident in which Rabban Gamliel the elder died, and upon his death Unclus the convert burned 7,000 dinars in valuable Tyrian coinage. Burning the coins? He melted them? Anyway, the Gemara asks, but didn't you state in response to the question, what do they burn upon the death of kings? They burn their beds and utensils. Why then did Unclus burn money? Or maybe it was paper money. Okay, anyway, the Gemara answers, say that Unclus burned items that were valued at 7,000 dinars in Tyrian coinage. Okay. Umi diachni la Yatanyo Kurina Lamachim V'yein bo mishum darachem mo'iri amarav papa sus shirachabala. The Gemara asks, and are there other items not destroyed in order to accord honor to the deceased king apart from his utensils? But isn't it taught in a Braita that we detach the hooves of livestock upon the death of kings, and this is not subject to the prohibition of the ways of the Amorites? Rav Papa says that Braita is referring to the horse upon which the king rode. Since that animal was designated as the king's personal item, it is therefore rendered usable for anyone else, like his personal utensils. The Gemara asks, and did they not detach the hooves of the king's kosher animals, which are not used by the king for riding? But isn't it taught in Braita, if removing the hooves of an animal would entail that it becomes an animal with a wound that will cause it to die within 12 months, it is prohibited to do so, and when doing so would not entail rendering it a treifa, it is permitted. And what is a way of removing hooves that does not entail rendering it animal treifa? Now we turn to 11b. Yudalef Mebez Ve'hamanasir Parsotea Min Ha'arkuba Ulemata Targema Rev Papa Ve'egla Hamoshechet B'karon. One who cuts the hooves of the animal, severing the legs from the knee and below, does not render the animal treifa. It is evident from the Braita, which discusses the cases in which an animal is rendered a treifa and is therefore unfit to eat, that it is discussing kosher animals. The Gemara answers, Rav Papa interpreted the Braita as referring to the calf that pulls the king's coach, a kosher animal of which the king made use. Rav Yehuda, so where were we? Top of Yud Aleph, Amid Beis, right? Menasher. Parsoteha min ha'arkuba lemata targema Rav Papa ve'egla hamoshechet b'karon. One who cuts off the hooves of an animal, severing the legs from the knee and below, does not render the animal a treifa. It is evident from the Braita, which discusses the cases in which an animal is rendered a treifa and is therefore unfit to eat, that it is discussing kosher animals. The Gemara answers, Rav Papa interpreted the Braita as referring to the calf that pulls the king's coach, a kosher animal of which the king made use. Yom tiglachat zikano ibailuhu hechi katani Yom tiglachat zikano v'nachas belorioso o dilma Yom tiglachas zikano v'havarat belorito tashma Titania tarvaihu Yom tiglachas zikano v'hanachat belorioto Yom tiglachat zikano v'havarat belorito. The Mishnah teaches the day of shaving his beard and his locks. A dilemma was raised before the sages. What is the Mishnah teaching here? Is it referring to the day of shaving his beard and head, when he cuts the hair of his head, and as a result, his long locks at the back of his head are left as a form of idol worship? Or perhaps the Mishnah is speaking of the day of shaving his beard and removing his locks, which are removed sometime after they were left on the head. The Gemara responds, come in here and answer, as both opinions are taught in Brightot. One Brightot mentions the day of shaving his beard and head when his long locks at the back of his head are left, whereas a different Brightot specifies the day of shaving his beard and removing his locks. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Od acheret yesh lahem beromi achat ל-70 שנה מביאים אדם שלם ומרכיבים אותו על אדם חיגר ומלבישים אותו בגדי אדם הראשון ומניחים לו בראשו ככפלו של רבי ישמעאל. The Gemara continues to discuss Roman festivals. Rabbi Yehuda says that Shmuel says they have another festival in Rome. Once every 70 years, they bring a man who is whole and free from any defect and have him ride on a lame man to symbolize the healthy Esau ruling over Jacob, who walked with a limp after his fight with the angel. And they dress him in the garments of Adam, the first man, and place on his head the scalp, the kar kefilo of Rabbi Yishmael, which the Romans flayed when they executed him. V'talu le b'tzavarei matkal matan zuza lepiza umechapines et hashvakim be'inach umachrizin lefanav sach kiri pelaster achu demarana zayfana chame ודלה חמה לא חמה, מאי אהני לרמאה ברמאותה ולזייפנה בזייפנותה ומסיים מנבה הכי, ואי לדין כד יקום דין. And they hang gold on his neck weighing 200 dinars and covered the markets with onyx and announced before him the calculation of the master, meaning Jacob with regard to the time of the redemption is fraudulent. The brother of our master Esau a forger. They further announce one who witnesses this festival witnesses it, and whoever does not witness it will not witness it ever, as it was celebrated only once every 70 years. What purpose does deceit serve for the deceiver and forgery for the forger? And they conclude in this fashion: woe unto this one, Esau, that when that one, Jacob, will arise, as this will cause Esau's downfall. Amar Ravashi, Akshilam piem l'rashayim amru zayfena achua demarana ki deka amri hashta diamri demarana zayfena marana gufe zayfanahu. Ravashi says the mouths of these wicked people have caused their downfall. Had they said, a forger is the brother of our master, their claim would be interpreted as they say and wish to be understood. Now they say, the brother of our master, a forger, they can be understood by saying, it is our master himself who is the forger. V'tanan didan, my taima lo kachashiv le'elahai di'ita b'chol shata b'shata kachashiv dilete b'chol shata b'shata lo kachashiv. The Gemara asks, and what is the reason that the Tana of our Mishnah does not count this festival in his list of Gentile festivals. The Gemara answers, the Tana of the Mishnah counts those festivals that occur each and every year, and he does not count those festivals that do not occur each and every year. Okay, where were we? Let's start from Amar Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Oh yeah, we went through that. They would bring a whole person symbolizing Esau and Jacob again today with the Gimel Tammuz, the fight with the angel. Okay. And they hang gold on his neck weighing 200 dinars, cover the mark with onyx. I think we said that, yeah. Okay, Amar Ravashi. Amar Ravashi, Yichshin B'Yam Rishayim Yamru, Zayfana Demarana, Amri Hashta, Amri, Demarana Zayfana, Marana Gufe Zayfanahu. Ravashi says the mouths of these wicked people have caused their downfall. Had they said a forger is the brother of our master, their claim would be interpreted as they say and wish to be understood. Now that they say the brother of our master, a forger, can they be understood as saying is our master himself who is the forger? Vitana. They can be understood as saying is our master himself is the forger. Vitana did done my time a local high. The Gemara asks, so what is the reason that the Tana of our Mishnah does not count this festival in his list of Gentile festivals? The Gemara answers, the Tana of the Mishnah counts those festivals what is the reason that the Tana of our Mishnah does not count this festival and in his list of Gentile festivals? The Gemara answers, the Tana of the Mishnah counts those festivals that occur each and every year, and he does not count those festivals that do not occur each and every year. Ahani de Romai u de Parasai mai mut rede veturiakes yaske meharnake umaharin hani de Farse u de Ramai de Bavale mai mu harnake veak nita bachanunai va'asar be'adar. The Gemara comments, those festivals enumerated in the Mishnah are the festivals of the Romans. The Gemara asks, and what are the idolatrous festivals of the Persians? The Gemara answers, Mutride and Turyakase, Moharnake and Moharin. The Gemara asks, those are the festivals of the Persians and the Romans, but what are the festivals of the Babylonians? The Gemara answers, Moharnake and Akinite, Bahunine, and the 10th of Adar. Amar Rav Chanan bar Rav Chizda Amar Rav Yamrele Amar Rav Chanan bar Amar Rav Chamisha Bate Avodah Zarah Kivuin Hem Elohem Bait Bat Bebabel Beit Nevo Bekurse Bebursif Trata Shemapag Shembam Shebe Mapag, Srifa Shebe Ashkelon, Nishra Shebe Aravia, Kiat Rabdimi Hosifo Leyan Yavid, Shibain Bechi, Nid Becha Shebe Ako, Ika de Amri, Nidbara Shebe Ako, Rabdimi Menardae, matne ibcha, yarid sheba'ako nidbacha shebe'ein bechi. Rav Hanan bar Rav Chisda says that Rav says, and some say it was Rav Hanan bar Rava who says that Rav says, there are 5 established temples of idol worship, and they are the temple of Bel in Babylonia, the temple of Nevo in the city of Kursay, the temple of Tirata, which is located in the city of Mapag, Serifa, which is located in Ashkelon, and Nashra, which is located in Arabia. When Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he said, the sages added to these places the marketplace that is located in Ein Bechi and Nadbeka, which is located in Akko. There are those who say that Rav Dimi was referring to Natbera, that is located in Akko. Rav Dimi from Narada teaches the opposite, that it is the marketplace that is located in Akko and Nadbeka that is located in Ein Bechi. Amar le Rav Hanan bar Rav Chisda, mai kavuin hein. Amar le Hachi amar avudi imach. Kivuin hein leoilam tedira kula shata palchilahu. Rav Hanan bar Rav Chisda said to Rav Chisda, what does it mean that these temples of idol worship are established? Rav Chisda said to them, this is what your mother's father, meaning Rav Hanan bar Rava, said, in contrast to festivals which last for 1 or several days. They're always fixed as the site of idol worship, and as constantly all year round worship takes place there. Amar Shmuel bagola eno asur ela yom eidam bilvad yom eidam nami mi asir ha Rav Yehuda sherale lerav Brona lezabone chamra v'lerav Gidel lezabone chitin ichagta ditaye shani chagta ditaye delo kiviyah. Shmuel says the halacha is that in the diaspora, engaging in business with Gentiles is prohibited only on the day of their festival itself, not during the days preceding and following the festival. Since Jews live among the Gentiles, they are unable to refrain from engaging in business with them for such an extended period. The Gemara asks, is it prohibited even on their festival day itself? But didn't Rav Yehuda permit Rav Bruna to sell wine to Gentiles and permitted Rav Gidel to sell wheat on the festival of the Arab merchants? The Gemara answers, the festival of the Arab merchants is different as it does not have a fixed time, and therefore the sages did not include it in the prohibition. That's the end of that, and now we start the new Mishnah. Ir sheyesh ba avodah zarah chutza la mutar, haya chutza la avodah zarah tocha la mutar, mahu lelech l'sham, bizman she'aderech miuchedes leoto makom asur, in the case of a city in which there is active idol worship, it is permitted to engage in business transactions with Gentiles who live outside of the city. If the idol worship is outside the city, it is permitted to engage in business within the city. What is the halacha with regard to traveling there? A place where a pagan festival is being celebrated. When the road is designated only for that place, it is prohibited to use the road, as onlookers will assume that the traveler intends to join the festival. But if one were able to travel on it to arrive at another place, it is permitted to use the road to reach the place that is observing the festival. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Now the Gemara, Hechidami chutzala, Amar B'Shimon ben Lakish Mishum Rabbi Chanina, Kegon it loza shel Aza. V'yikad Amri Be'amina Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish Mid Rabbi Chanina it loza shel Aza Bahu, Amar le lo halachta letzor mi'mecha v'ra'iti Yisrael b'goy. The Gemara asks, what are the circumstances that determine whether a place is sufficiently far from a city to be considered outside of it? Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, in the name of Rabbi Chanina, a place that is far enough away is, for example, a bazaar of Gaza, which is located outside the city walls. And some say that Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish asked Rabbi Chanina about this issue. What is the halacha with regard to bazaar of Gaza? May one conduct business there on the day of a festival celebrated in Gaza? Rabbi Chanina said to him, Did you Did you never in your lifetime travel to Tyre and see a Jew and a Gentile? To be continued.